Get ready for an exciting new episode of the SDSS Podcast with your host, Tim Keefe. Today, we're kicking off the first of several introductory episodes leading up to the launch of a groundbreaking book on customer relationship management, CRM. Joining Tim is David Trzupek, co-author and key contributor to the upcoming title, Stop Doing Stupid Stuff with CRM. Tune in as they delve into the motivations and experiences that sparked this project. Whether you're deep into CRM or just starting out, this chat is packed with real stories, practical advice, and perhaps a few laughs. Everything you need to rethink and revamp your CRM strategies. Don't miss this engaging conversation that's sure to change the way you approach CRM.
Hi, everybody. This is Tim Keefe, and I'd like to welcome everybody to a special edition of an SDSS podcast. Today is the first of a couple of introductory podcasts as we get ready to publish what we think is going to be a very important book under the SDSS umbrella. And this is on the topic of CRM and how to effectively implement CRM projects. I have as my guest here today, Mr. Dave Trzupek, my co-author, sometimes co-conspirator, and very excited to have him with us today. Thanks, Dave, for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks, Tim. Look forward to our conversation.
Yeah. So, Dave, as you know, just kind of a kick it off, what was your inspiration? Like, why take the time to write this book?
Well, the book is going to be called Stop Doing Stupid Stuff with CRM. And, at first, when we started talking about this probably about a year ago, you had said, hey, look, let's, I've got this whole kind of, methodology and framework for a book series on Stop Doing Stupid Stuff. And I thought, okay, well, that kind of comes off as like, oh, that could be kind of an arrogant jab at people who do CRM. And I've been doing CRM for, almost 30 years with different technologies. But I think what inspired me was, I started thinking about it. It's like, okay, have I seen a lot of stupid stuff with CRM? The answer is, oh yeah, tons of it. I've been involved in more than 50, 100 projects. I really couldn't tell you. It's just so many over the years with different technologies and different industries, with different consulting firms. And that's what I've always been as a consultant. So I've seen a lot. I've seen some great stuff. I've also seen a lot of stuff, and I've seen a lot of things that feel like we've done a good job and we've been successful. And at the end of it, it's like, well, this wasn't. No one wants to hear an executive that says, wow, we spent a lot of money, anywhere, in the millions sometimes. And it's like, well, everyone says this project went well, but nothing changed. Nothing improved.
Yeah.
It's just the same. We didn't improve sales. We didn't improve our customer interaction. We didn't improve our net promoter scores. Nothing changed overall. Maybe a little bit. Was it worth all that investment? So I think part of it was that I've seen just outright, flat out failures, right? Just things have collapsed on their face, and they were not only just a business failure, but also a technology failure. And I think over the years, I've seen us overcome technology failures with CRM projects, where it's like, well, the technology is not the failure point, but we're still having these issues. And so, maybe the technology is not a failure point, but if you really have to go and investigate it, are we doing the better job? So I think what inspired me is like, we still fall in these traps. We're doing a lot of stupid things with CRM.
Yeah. And, I just kind of resonating on that, you and I have been working together for 10 years. I know it seems terrifying to think it's been that long, but you probably go, the longest 10 years of my life. I felt like 30 years. You and I have worked together on these things. I come from a slightly different perspective, more from the process and operations guidance. But I agree with you. We've seen these things where a huge amount of money, huge amount of effort and energy, by an organization. And at the end, the outcomes, the real business outcomes really haven't moved significantly. To your point, maybe a couple of percentage points, but not enough for anybody to go, that was like a great investment. And of course, the challenge is the executives, the senior leaders who signed off on it are probably never in public going to say, man, that was a mistake, because, it's their reputation on it. And I think, I know when you and I talked and we talked about writing this book, and I agree with you, we were both like, calling people stupid can be a little bit provocative, but at the same time, it's meant to be provocative. I think we have to, in essence, really kind of kick people a little bit in the shins to say, what are you doing? and why are you doing it? And is it that there was a great salesperson in here who got a senior executive all wound up about how this technology is going to make dramatic change? And then before you know it, both of those people have left the room. Right. And then it's you and I and other people sitting around the table looking at each other going, so how are we going to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think once the book comes out and people start to get their hands on it. And by the way, what I'm really excited about, it's not a tomb of data points and this, that, and the other thing. Actually, it starts out as a story about a fictitious company. And we take you through their kind of journey of, hey, we got a new CRM and we're going to do this, that. And it talks about like the story. And again, we're pulling things from a lot of places that we've worked with and different companies with. Right. So we're not throwing anybody under the bus per se, but it's just, it tells you in this story, it's like, how does this start to formulate? What are we doing and what turns do we take? And then you go, well, okay, we did all those things. And I think also part of the book and what is also interesting, if you think through it, it's like, what could they have done differently? And what could they have done to avoid things, right? And like I said, there was things in this book that they actually did well. And that's part of it. It's like, oh, wow, geez, I'm going down the right path, right? But lo and behold, maybe you're not, right? So I don't think, it's like we all do stupid things. Like I know in our own, like I do stupid things. I've been a part of stupid things that we do, but it's like, how do we stop doing that? And I think that's what everybody wants to know is, how do I stop doing stupid stuff?
Well, and I think to your point, it's like this opportunity to learn, right, from some people who've made mistakes, because those are the best people to learn from, not people who've never done it and say, oh, academically, this is what should happen. Versus, I like the analogy sometimes like with automobiles, right? Like when you're working with somebody who's been a mechanic for decades, they know exactly what's going to work and what's not going to work. And they'll go, hey, you'll show up and you say, hey, there's this new supercharger on Amazon. I want to put it on my car. And the guy will be like, yeah, we could do that. There's no question. We could bolt it on. But I don't think because of your car, because of the age, because of a number of things, it's not going to give you what you think it's going to give you. Or they know just from their own experience that maybe the claims being made by that new turbocharger aren't realistic. Not that ever happens, by the way. I know salespeople are always understate the opportunity and the benefit of their products. They would never overstate them.
Right. And I think, when we talk about like CRM, and I've seen over the decades, and by the way, I've seen, without talking about specific CRM vendors, because I think we intentionally avoided that. We've had enough experience where we've seen very good market leaders. And it's not just been in the past 10 years, but over the past 30 years, right? We've seen a lot of companies come and go, and they have a traction, and then they get a momentum going. They have features and capabilities, and it draws a lot of companies because, hey, look, the promise is there's a new ROI by using this software product. And then what happens so much of it becomes, we're not really, from the technology side, so many people are not focused on ROI. They're focused on the technology, getting the technology done and done right. And we need that. And there's no question about it, because that has to be done. But you have to realize that what ship are you steering into these waters? Because great, you have the best of the best, but so what, right? You still are going to bang into an iceberg. So, I think part of it is, you're right. People and companies get attracted to, like, wow, I remember working with a company, and they're like, look, this company, if we use this CRM, is the hottest and greatest stuff. If we go and do that, and you have executives that are clamoring for this, and they're pushing just as much as they are having their salespeople from these product companies pushing the product. Well, if you get somebody inside the four walls and they're really sponsoring this project and this product, it can really go a long way. Also, that's where a lot of problems start to occur because there's so much excitement. There's not enough of measurement that goes on.
I think that, I think that's a really critical one. And I thinking back to like ROI, and they'll walk in and there'll be this big calculation of 20-to-1 ROI or whatever. And then you kind of go, but based on what, right? Like, and I think of CRM, and maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I always think that there's, kind of three benefits of a CRM implementation. One is in the growth side, right? My ability to manage or improve my sales because I have better visibility to leads and to qualify those leads and move those leads to the right resource to move them to a sale, or disqualify them and get them off the board so I don't spend any more energy on them. So I think, and that boils down to very simply sales or sales conversion. But I don't often see that as like, here's the success target for this project. It's this, there's an ROI that's gone through the acquisition process to make the decision to move forward with this technology. That's usually made up of, a variety of things, usually a benefit to getting rid of older technology, and I can reduce my maintenance costs and I can do this other stuff, but not usually like this very clear definition of success. That is, if I do this, I'm going to improve my ability to grow my customer base by 10%.
Right. Right. The promise of the vendor of what they promise, what others. I mean, it's like anything. It's like, hey, look, I'm gonna go and take on whatever you do in your own, right? It's like, hey, I'm gonna take on an exercise regimen, or I'm gonna go buy a franchise, or I can make all this money, I can do all these things. But reality is, how will that work, and how are you going to fit to that? How are you mapping to that? So you just can't just broadly say, hey, if I use this product, I can see a 19% improvement in sales. Okay, that's like buying, any, product that says, hey, I'll help you lose weight. I'll help you grow more hair. I'll help you do whatever it is. I mean, those are products, and that's what they do, right? That's part of it. But there are a lot of benefits and goodness from CRM products just in general. I mean, just to start with, it's like, why do I need a CRM? Why do I need customer relationship management tools? Well, how are you managing your marketing? How are you doing your sales? How are you managing the pipeline? How are you managing salespeople and operations? And then it gets into customer service. It always depends on your organization, what kind of industry you serve, and so on and so forth. But, as we've seen, companies or organizations that are in the banking industry, as an example, they're getting hyper competitive right now because things change, and it's not like, hey, I own this segment of the market. Well, everybody else wants your same customer. So you use CRM often to combat that. And how do I create a loyalty effect? How do I create better service and engagement? Those are the things.
Yep. Well, to your point, I always think of these three business targets that I always try and find that we're either contributing to or why bother. One is growth, grow my customer base. Two, keep the customers I have. That's the service side, the retention. And three, improving profitability by using data at a CRM to say, where can I improve my, cost model to deliver those same or better services.
And when the book comes out, you'll be able to see it's how we set the tone for the part one of the book of why am I doing this and justification for it. But okay. Yeah.
No, I think it's great. Hey, Dave, really appreciate your time today. I know we're going to do a couple more here, I think, to talk about as we think about technology being one part of the CRM solution, it is not by itself. In fact, that's the risk, right? You just think about tech, as you talked a minute ago, but the tech's got to work within a variety of things. It's got to work within the organization. It's got to work within the data structure, all the rest of the things that make up the business. So, with that, I'd like to thank everybody for listening. If you are really interested in follow-up, please comment. We will be on Spotify and LinkedIn. So if you want to subscribe, we really like that. And again, thanks, Dave, for being here. And please, everybody, look forward to the next podcast coming in the next couple of weeks. Appreciate it.